everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. It's beautiful here in Seattle. How about you guys?
Raining here.
Raining? All right.
Going golfing.
You can keep all that.
Going golfing in 2 hours.
Nice.
And I got an interview with Makes My Blood Dance at 3 p.m., so I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun, so it should be a good day.
Yeah, I mean, tell us more about the interview, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So Makes My Blood Dance, they're a disco metal type of group. They kind of have a disco vibe on their videos and even in the way they dress and do their stage performances, but they're very much a metal type of band. But it's danceable metal, so it's got a very almost, even if you would say, maybe like an 80s Erasure or Front 242 or the Cure type of vibe mixed in with metal. So almost like a Faith No More meets the Cure type of vibe, somewhere along those lines. So it's going to be interesting. They just came off the Power Man 5000 tour. They also did a Josie Scott. If you know Josie Scott, he was the frontman for Saliva. So they've had a couple of big tours they came off of, and I think they're going to be doing something with the lead singer from Bad Wolves here in the near future. I know they got 70 dates coming up, so we're going to be interviewing them, kind of getting to know more about how they develop their style and things of that nature. So it should be a lot of fun. They're out of the Brooklyn, New York area, so that will be today, 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern on the Whiskey Hour. You can find that on the Elite Sports Entertainment Network.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Rob likes your stuff.
Yep.
He likes to eat some of those chocolate bars that have the mushrooms in it and watch those shows.
Hey, you know what? Their video would be perfect for that, probably.
Yeah, so Power Man 5000, they're actually linked with Rob Zombie. If you guys, I'm sure you guys know who Rob Zombie is. It's actually his brother. So Rob Zombie's brother is the lead singer for Power Man 5000. So they kind of have a linkage a little bit right there.
Yeah. So in this case, when he's interviewing them,
Rob, I will take them.
I don't even know what a Wonka is.
Don't worry about it. Like a Wonka bar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a candy bar.
Yeah. Track it.
Okay.
I'll take him, Rob. Just send him my way.
There you go. Rob's a big Tool fan.
Yeah.
That's actually why he likes this show. There's just a bunch of tools on the screen.
Exactly. Yeah, this show is the tool bag.
Yeah, that's right. Speaking of tool bags, in the news today, Kevin Ware Jr., former tight end of Washington Huskies and a little bit in the NFL, gets sentenced for 30 years murdering his girlfriend. And it's interesting that it wasn't actually longer, because not only does he murder her, but then lights the body on fire. That seems like next level crazy. A few years prior to that, he got nailed for, cocaine and meth, and so it sounds like he's a super
all-around good guy.
Yeah, 100%. But so sentenced to 30 years. So it brought up an interesting question when I was reading this: is what are the arrest numbers in the NFL, right? And the Eagles have the lowest number since 2000 at 15. And the Vikings and Broncos are the top with 46 and 47, respectively. That is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And most of those are domestic abuse and, assault, stuff like that. So, yeah. I just, as soon as I saw, I was like, man, it seems like there's been a lot of stories. I was like, well, I wonder how many there are. And, I mean, that's a lot. Especially when you figure there's not that many people on teams.
Right.
I'd be curious to know what the Cowboys number is on
for any reason in Philadelphia. They kind of kick you right off the team. You don't get a second chance here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Cowboys will pick you up.
Oh, 100%.
I don't know. What's our number? You had the top and the bottom. Where is the Cowboys?
No. So
So this is
those numbers are people that get in trouble while with the team,
Yeah.
correct.
not convicts.
Yeah.
So
Well,
you
I
guys
didn't have enough
you guys
time.
would lead the convict situation, I'm sure.
Yeah, I didn't have enough time to expand to that depth. Because that would have required a team of people probably. So the way that it broke down was the Cowboys sit at 24, and that's because this started in 2000. Because had it been prior to that, that number's way over double that. When you think of some of those 80s and 90s teams where, you had some stars and then everybody else was convicts.
And the other reason why that number is so low for the Eagles, Big Dom.
Yeah. Well, and the Lions are exactly the same. You guys are both at 15.
And I tell you, because the Lions probably also have somebody very similar to a Big Dom. Big Dom is like the fixer. He's the one that if you have a problem, you call Big Dom, and Big Dom solves the problem. You know what I mean? It's every team should absolutely have this person in their repertoire. I have to imagine that most of them do. It's just how do they get utilized? In Minnesota, they don't get utilized very well.
Mm-mm.
It could be Dustin. It could be Dustin that winds up getting those phone calls, and and then he was too busy coaching his team to a loss yesterday to fix any of those problems.
Wow.
Could have used the fixings yesterday. Pitching was not swell yesterday. Can't walk 7 guys in an inning and live to tell about it too much.
Mm-hmm. And Rob, those are not the only 2 murderers. The guy we were talking about to open the show, Kevin Ware Jr. That's what he's going to jail for, is murdering his girlfriend. So there's that.
Hey, speaking of the Vikings, though, it has now been confirmed that they will be the team playing the Pittsburgh Steelers in Dublin in week 4 this year. So
Right,
at the
end of September.
Yep, and that must mean you better keep the drinks away from Minnesota because a lot of their arrests lately have been alcohol-related charges. So keep the drinks away from Minnesota and Dublin, please.
Yeah, that's not a real thing. Although the last thing you want to do is have your guys going to jail in another country.
Exactly.
That could mess the next week up too.
But when did they come out with that? Did they come out with all of the
No,
games?
it just came out on Pittsburgh Steelers website that it just said confirmed that the Steelers and Vikings get the Dublin games. I'm wondering if they're going to start announcing the international games right now before the actual schedule release.
I can imagine.
Because the Steelers wanted the Packers in Dublin because they have a big Green Bay following in Dublin, but the Packers said they did not want to go because that would count as one of their home games. They didn't want to give up one of their home games. So the Vikings are taking the Steelers' place because the Vikings have the additional road game this year over the additional.
Why
home
would
game.
that wouldn't count as their home game because it's the Steelers' home game?
Is it? Well, either way, the Packers said they didn't want to go. So they. I thought it had to do with the Packers having a home game. The Packers said they just did not want to go to Dublin. So then Pittsburgh asked Minnesota if they wanted to go, and Minnesota said yes, just because they were in London last year. They were in London a couple of years ago. They don't mind making that international trip.
Gotcha.
I mean, you are the Vikings, and that is the Viking part of the world, right? Norse, Norway, all that stuff. So that's kind of like going back to the motherland.
Northern Ireland is nowhere near all that stuff,
No,
but I get it. I
if
get what you're talking
but if
about.
if you know the history of it, though, when they went out of Norway, they did go down to England and Ireland and spread their wealth during those crusades.
Rob throwing daggers.
Seems like the Steelers also have an idea of what they're trying to do to get Aaron Rodgers now too, because now how they traded Pickens to the Cowboys, the Steelers have been talking with the Green Bay Packers the last 2 or 3 days about trying to acquire Romeo Doubs, to get Romeo Doubs to go to Pittsburgh because that was one of Aaron Rodgers' favorite targets in Green Bay. If everything is medically checked out on Dobbs. They're going to try to get Dobbs to go to Pittsburgh to see if that'll help lure Rodgers into Pittsburgh to make a decision quicker.
I feel like he's about to retire.
Who?
I hope so. I'm tired of having these conversations every offseason.
Yeah, I think he's done. And
I
that's
don't
the
know if
reason
he's-
why I think
yeah.
that's the reason why he's not making a decision.
Yeah, I don't know. He does seem like he just continues to string this crap along. He had a good role model though in Favre. Here, let me retire and unretire a few times. In his case, he's just going to talk about it every year like LeBron.
Right.
Something.
Uh,
But anyways, so is that all that happened in the world today? We have a new pope that was from Delco. He said
I mean, that
graduated from
happened.
Villanova, so he's got some Delco in him. You know, what I mean, I'm sure he says water, not water.
Yeah, my wife says water, and I'm like, it's not water. There's no E in it. It's freaking A. It's an R sound. What are we doing?
There isn't any at the end of it.
Water, not WOODER.
Hooter.
Water. What a time to be alive. Well, what about Belichick? His girlfriend has been banned from UNC. I wonder how long that was going to take to happen. Apparently, it has happened.
Why is she banned?
I gotta imagine just kind of taking over everything. I think it's what she's been doing in the interviews. I think they feel like she's hindering Belichick and a lot of the programs that or things are trying to go on there. I think she's basically just being meddlesome, and I think they're sick of it. From what I can gather, there has been a whole lot put out about it, but that's what I've gathered from it.
That is kind of funny. I mean, I don't know anything about it either. I just know, was she sleeping with the team? Like, is it the reason why the girlfriend's not allowed anymore? It's like, hey.
Yeah. I mean, she's a good-looking girl. Wouldn't be too, and she's very young. I would not be surprised if there was some extracurricular.
See, there we go. Not fully true. Don't let a good story get it'll slowed down by facts. Like,
yeah, actually, you never let a good story, never ruin a good story with the truth.
exactly. Man.
Never a dull moment. I tell you, this is an exciting show today. You guys are just full of excitement and amazingness. It's like.
So Jadeveon Clowney did get released from the Panthers. I'm not really sure anybody wants to pick him up. He, it's not that he ever really lived up to the hype coming out of college anyway, but what, you're going to pick him up as maybe a league minimum rotational guy? Maybe.
There's teams that could use him as a starter yet. A couple teams.
He's not.
He's not.
He had 5.5
way
sacks
too
last
many.
season, right?
Way too many plays off. Way too many plays off.
I mean, he had 5.5 sacks last year. I think he had with the Ravens. I believe the year before that he had roughly close to 9. I think somebody, like you said, will take him on a league minimum and just be a gap fill when they need it or whatever for injury protection or whatever. Maybe even depth if you want to put a little bit of depth in there at a very cheap price. I think you can get him at a cheap price.
That's where I think Seattle might take a look at him again since he was here before. He did okay while he was here. If you used him as a cheap rotational guy, depth piece, I could see that scenario. Mostly because he's cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Or should be, anyway.
No, I definitely think I definitely think I could get him at a good price. It was weird because he had such a great combine. I mean, he looked like a freaking nature in the combine. And then he goes to the Texans and, he gets hurt. I think he did have an injury right up off the rip. And then he goes through a little bit injury recovery time. And he just never looked anything like what he showed at the combine or even in his college days in Carolina. He just never quite got there for a guy who's such a freak of nature to fall off that quickly. Yeah, that's incredible. But again, I think it also says a lot for the combine too. You could be a freak of nature at the combine, and then, like you said, it doesn't always translate. Or even the pro days, it doesn't always translate into the actual game itself.
Well, especially those two, because you're not going up against anybody, right? I mean, you're either practicing with guys you know, or you're unpadded running routes, and I mean, you should look great in both of those because there's nobody really going against you. But when you think back to his college days, it looked like he was going to have a promising NFL career, and he just never had consistency coming to the league. That's where I see this late in his career. I mean, anybody that really needs a guy, he's not their guy.
Mhm.
And anybody that doesn't need a guy, doesn't need a guy. You know what I mean? So that's one of those. It's like, well, he's older, he's cheap. Maybe you didn't get the right answer drafting a young guy, right? So maybe you need something there, but I don't know. I can't imagine there's going to be a very big market for him.
Yeah, like he was probably not good enough to be the number one pick. He was the top 5 pick going into the class, but the reason why he was the number 1 pick was the combine and the hit that he's still known for 13 years later.
Yep.
The hit that he laid on that Michigan running back in the Rose Bowl where the guy's helmet came off, he just picked up the ball with his palm and walked off. Had he not made that play, the hype of Jadeveon Clowney would not have been where it was going into the draft. That's kind of why he shot up the draft board. That's why everyone was so high on his potential, without failing to realize that he was an undersized defensive lineman. He was basically that first legitimate edge rusher before the edge rushing position became a thing.
Yeah, I mean, that game right there is definitely what pushed him to the top.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's that, and then the FanDuel props of where teams are going to end up. I was working on the graphic, but then I ran out of time, so no graphic for you guys today.
Oh, what the hell?
But they have the Eagles at 11.5.
Yep.
Which that feels about right.
That's what I said. I said that's about as dead on because I think they got 12 wins.
Exactly. I think that's about right. They got Seattle at 7.5, which I think is that's probably about right because 8 or 9 wins is kind of where I think they would be. So maybe different by a game. They also have Dallas at 7.5. The one that I think is a little surprising is I thought they were going to be higher on the Vikings than they are. They're 8.5.
Wow. Okay.
I thought they'd be a little higher on the Vikings after last year. I thought they'd give them like a 9.5.
It's the JJ McCarthy factor, plus it's the strength of Minnesota's schedule also. Obviously, strength of schedule is always taken into account based on how the teams finished the year prior, not like the roster going in. But right now, Minnesota's got the 4th or the 5th hardest schedule in the NFL.
Well, so here's the thing, though. So the Vikings are at 8.5, but so are the Bears.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that too is like the Bears. A lot of people think every year, the last 3 years, everyone said the Bears are going to kind of be that team that sneaks into the playoffs because of when you looked at how they improved their roster. I think that's going into account again, where you added Ben Johnson, you added the weapons you've added on the offensive line, you did what you did in the draft. So now the Bears are getting more wins added to their total, which some of those wins are going to come inside the division. Someone's going to end up losing some of those wins, and I think Minnesota is just kind of that team that's just going to be the one that's going to lose 1 or 2 wins.
Yeah, they threw Green Bay at 9.5, and then the Lions at 10.5. So,
yeah,
it again means that it'll be a fun division to watch.
Mm-hmm. Like last year, like we saw last year, you had 3 teams winning 12 games.
Yeah.
This year, you're probably not going to have 3 teams winning 12 games, but you realistically could have all 4 teams in that 8 to 11 win range.
For sure. Well, and that more or less is what it is they're predicting.
Yeah.
Troy, you're out of your mind, man. You're not tolerating divas. Did you forget you just signed one for $150 million called DK?
Interesting.
I
thought it was interesting that Higgins, that Texas signed that rookie wide receiver to a fully guaranteed contract. It was the first time, I think, in NFL history, coming from wrong, stat guy, I know you know stats, but I believe it was the first time in NFL history that a second round wide receiver, even a second round period, got a fully guaranteed contract.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's happened before.
Yeah. Okay.
Which, I mean, that tells me, obviously, I think that they kind of believe in this kid. They say he's got the height and he's almost like a Nico Collins type of guy. He's got a pretty good wingspan on him. So I guess they're going to put a little bit behind him. What's that?
I thought the rookie contracts were guaranteed contracts as long as you were on the roster.
According to this report, and again, I'm just reading what I read. It said you get a 4-year, I think, like $11.6 million, all of it guaranteed. It says the first time a second rounders got that. First rounders have gotten it, but not second round.
Yeah, I think it's the second. I don't know if the second round contracts are all fully guaranteed.
I gotcha. Huh. Right on. Well, I mean, that's awesome for him.
I guess it tells me that D'Amico and that GM must really believe heavily in him, but they're going to guarantee all of it. So I'm curious. I guess what I'm saying, I got boiling down to, I'm curious to see what he does this season, in conjunction with Nico, and if Tank Dell makes it back or what have you.
Dell's out. They made that announcement on Monday that Tank Dell is not only out for 2025, but there's a chance that he might miss time in 2026.
Oh wow!
Like Tank Dell's leg is completely shot.
Yeah, I knew he took a pretty nasty injury. Okay.
Damn.
So you have the Jags. They grab Travis Hunter, right? And most of us thought that he should be used as defense and then have packages for offense, especially on a team that isn't all that great on defense. Then they let go of Gabe Davis. They already said that they were going to use him on offense. That almost guarantees that they have to now. What is their plan on defense?
Yeah.
Are you going to play some or
the Cincinnati Bengals approach?
Yeah.
Just not play defense and try to score 35 points, but their offense isn't good enough to score 35 points. So
I got a feeling that Travis Hunter is going to be really misused in Jacksonville. I just had this feeling.
I mean, you're probably not wrong. It's the Jags. They're gonna
know what I mean?
do dumb stuff.
Yeah, I definitely feeling that Travis Hunter is going to regret going to the Jaguars. I wouldn't be surprised if he does 4 years or whatever his contract is and goes somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, so did you guys get your real ID?
not yet. I have to though because we're going on vacation in August and we're supposed to need it.
Real ID? What do you mean?
You could take a passport.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's more things that I have to carry that I don't want to carry.
So
It's a new driver's license that you need to have, I guess, Jay, when you go traveling. Now it's got like, what is it? Got like a star on it or something, or
something like that. It's a star.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have my passport with me everywhere. I like to travel with that just in case.
Yep.
You never know when I could leave the country, and having a passport helps that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, but if you do not have your real ID, you're going to need it very soon because ultimately, if you try to get on a plane right now, right this moment, and you do not have a real ID, they will say, all right, you can get on, but you're going to need to get a real ID. And it's possible that they may not let you back on the plane on the way back from wherever you're going.
Exactly. Yeah.
I guess I'm a little confused about a real ID. I mean, are you saying like you have to have like a driver's license that's not expired? Is that
no? So it's a new driver's license that they agreed on like a couple of years ago. I don't even know what even brought this whole thing into the equation, but there's like a star or a special marking on this new driver's license that makes it the real ID. I don't know what the point of it is. I don't know like why they're doing it. So you could have your driver's license for a month, and you have to go back and get this new ID if you want to travel.
And so 8 or 9 different states had already instituted this. So if you had gotten it replaced in the last 3 years, they've been pushing this back for a good amount of time. Ultimately, like I said, most of these states will have a star. In California, because they're different, they're going to have their star on a bear. And I think there's something else as well. But
yeah, no, here in Seattle, they already did it a few years ago because our normal driver's licenses weren't good enough for the standard airport anyway. And so we had to update them. So we were one of the first ones to go to this real ID, just because they're like, your guys' licenses are useless anyway. So we're just going to skip a step here.
I just never heard of this real ID thing before. This is the first time I've heard of that. That's interesting.
Yeah,
No, I know.
here they called it an enhanced driver's license.
Mhm.
But, you know, we travel enough that I'm like Pags. I generally try and take my passport with me wherever. So I have my enhanced, I have my passport card, and then I also have my passport itself. So, I mean, there's any number. I'm getting on the damn plane. That's the main thing.
I guess I'll start taking my driver's license and my military ID card. I guess maybe those two will get me on the plane.
No.
That's
It won't.
what I'm getting at. The
Yeah.
military ID may, because that may be considered a real ID. But short of that, your license without the star on it is not going to cover it.
Yeah, West Coast friend. I live in Texas where everything is real.
No, no, it's not.
Yeah.
Just letting you know.
Yeah, but no, you do have to. Everyone will have to upgrade to it at some point, just because it's going to be the standardized license. It gives them the ability to, they all have the scanner, the barcode on them now too. That not all ID cars had across the U.S. So they're trying to standardize what the licenses look like all around the nation.
Yeah, as best they can.
Yeah,
of course,
exactly.
California's got to be, their own set of retards, and that's why they have to have their star on a bear.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, I mean, it is for facial recognition, and and they'll put it in there as national safety, right? Like that's how they're going to sell it to you.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. It's all national safety. This was worked on since the beginning of 2001, and then reworked on again when they said, "Hey, let's have everybody register for voting." So this is also part of the voting registration. Like, don't be surprised if sooner than later you're going to need your real ID to cast a real vote.
Yeah, you probably have to scan it to go in and whatever. Yeah, no, absolutely.
So it'll be interesting to see if how that all plays out. You have real IDs in Italy too there, Joe? And seeing that you're not even in Italy, you're in Sicily, which is it even an Italian province or is it its own country?
It's that little rock that Italy is kicking at the end of the boot.
I know what it is. Thank you. I appreciate that there, Jay. I'm not Italian. I wasn't,
Yeah, you're American Italian, but okay, we'll take it.
Right. I've been to Italy. I've seen the Amalfi Coast. So, but anyways. So yeah, we have a Delconian Pope and new IDs coming for everybody. So I tell you, it's tough when there's not much going on in sports.
It definitely is.
I tell you, like Las Vegas lost in overtime, so now they're down 2-0.
Yeah.
You had the first game of Golden State. I watched on them trying to tell us, hey, there is like 4 or 5 different ways that you could speed up the recovery from a hamstring injury. I'm like, huh? Yeah, there is no thing that all of that is fake.
Yeah, hamstring injuries suck.
Yeah, it's all fake. Like there's no way to speed up the process. You got to not play on it and let it heal.
That's exactly it. It's a really easy one to re-injure. So coming back too early is the problem.
I just like how Draymond Green doesn't like the fact that he feels like there's an agenda and he's being portrayed as an angry black man. And he goes on to say, I'm not an angry black man. I'm educated. I have a great family. I have this, that, and the other. But I do have a propensity for slapping people in the face. And for some reason, that makes me look, or maybe it's the fact that I look like a crazy buffoon yelling at the referee over and over and over to the point where Steph Curry has to come in and drag me back. Jimmy Butler has to drag me back. Hell, even Steve Kerr has to drag me back. And I got 5 technicals. And I'm only allowed 7 before I get the 1-game suspension. But yet I'm not an angry black man.
I mean, he's this generation's version of Dennis Rodman,
Possibly.
just without the hair colors.
They can't call him white.
Yeah, I mean, Draymond is crazy. And, I mean, you could argue he's angry. Like, that dude is always a problem. Yeah. Man.
And he is always black.
Where is that?
Let's I mean, there's some that is one of those things that will never change.
There is that.
I don't know. He could go get that Michael Jackson treatment.
You know, he can
That's a
identify
whole other-
however he wants to.
There
Right.
you go. He's an angry man. There you
Yeah,
go.
that is actually much more. I mean, he may
To be
identify
fair.
differently, but
To be fair, it wouldn't matter if he was black, white, whatever. He is an angry human.
yes, he is. Yes, he is.
I mean, remember,
Most
this
of
is
the
the guy. This is the guy that was choking out Gobert in a chokehold last season,
Right?
and he also punched Jordan Poole in practice. I mean, and he wonders why there's an agenda. An agenda, really? I don't think it's an agenda. I think
Who
it's
was the
just
guy?
how
Who
you-
was the guy that choked out the coach?
Choked out.
Latrell Sprewell.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I
Latrell,
forgot
he,
about that.
he was a very angry man too.
Yeah, I remember that whole situation where it was who was it? It wasn't D'Antonio, was it? No, it was
It was when he was with the Knicks, wasn't it?
no, it was with he was with San Antonio. I thought he got traded to the Knicks.
I thought he choked out the Knicks coach.
Van something or another.
That's
Van
Van Gundy.
Van Gundy. That's who it was. The smaller of the two Van Gundys.
Yes,
Well, yeah, he turned to Meta World Peace, right?
that's right.
I saw him the other day on Shark Tank. He didn't look too.
So,
He didn't look
Latrell
upset. He looked like a
Sprewell-
normal human being.
So Latrell Sprewell choked out PJ Carlismo with the
Yeah,
Golden
I
State.
knew it was an Italian.
Yeah, with the Golden State Warriors at practice in 1997. So that would have been after even his Knicks era when he was with Golden State.
I just liked that, Dylan Brooks was like, he's a dirty player. It's like, man, have you ever looked at yourself in the mirror? Like, he is just Draymond in a different jersey. That dude plays as dirty as it gets.
I think that goes back to what Stat Guy was saying. If you take Draymond, Dylan Brooks, and Rodman, I mean, they're all kind of in the same mentality in the way they act. I mean, honestly, but put all 3 of them as dirty players. I mean, weird. And I guess if you want to throw Latrell Sprewell in there for choking out his coach, you might as well throw Latrell Sprewell in that mix.
I think the Celtics.
Yeah, that's the way I would go, Scott. It would definitely be the Celtics. The Cavs have just looked dead out there.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard to come back from. The Celtics just haven't had their shots land, but that won't stay that way forever. But if you're lacking energy like the Cavs look like they are, that's hard to come back from.
I would also say though that having 3 hurt players and Mobley, Hunter, and another guy, I think that's more so why I think the Celtics would be the one to do it, because I don't think the Mavs are healthy enough to do it, to be honest.
The Cavs, not the
Or the
Mavs.
Cavs. I know I said Mavs. Cavs. I'm sorry.
Any UFL games on our radar?
So
Really?
not really over here.
You know what I think? I think Birmingham's going to win it again.
I don't think so this year. I think this is the first year they're going to lose. I think Michigan's going to win it this year now that they made the switch to Bryce Perkins. Because since they made that switch to Bryce Perkins, Perkins has been the best player in the UFL.
The Stallions did grab a UF1 quarterback the other day, so that was kind of neat. So you're starting to see guys from lower leagues elevate in there, so that's kind of fun to see. But yeah, no, unfortunately, they're doing a really poor job of marketing, and honestly, I never know when they're playing.
They're playing on Sundays.
It's always one game Friday night, one game Saturday, and then 2 games Sunday.
I was going to say it is split over days, but it's the timing of it.
Yeah.
Are they still playing in just one stadium?
No, every team's got their own stadium now, so they have the eight venues now. But they're just the Rock is the reason why it's not being marketed. They had the Rock. He was on Pat McAfee show during the draft week, and they were just Rock was just talking everything. He failed to mention the UFL once in his 45-minute interview with Pat McAfee, and I'm just like, you wonder why you're not marketing your product. You had a 45-minute platform with Pat McAfee where you could have been marketing this as much as you wanted to, and you failed to mention it once.
I mean, it's co-owned by Fox. I feel like they would have a vested interest in putting some information out.
They never do.
I'm aware. And, since we don't have our team currently, they seem like they just forget about the West Coast because we never see anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't get anything down in Texas either in terms of UFL and people talking about it or even Fox talking about it or any of that nature. I haven't heard any of it. So, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's weird that they're not, especially because they're supposed to be expanding next year.
Yeah.
So in theory, we get our team back. We get the Sea Dragons back, which would be cool. Maybe they start to advertise again. But yeah, it's very weird because I end up forgetting about it because I can't find it. And then, Tuesday comes around and I see highlights.
Mm-hmm.
They were called the Sea Dragons?
Yeah.
You got the Seahawks, the Kraken.
Sea Wolves.
The Sea Wolves.
Sea Dragons.
Sea Dragons.
Lot of sea stuff here.
Right.
You see the theme there?
Mariners. We got a theme. We got a theme.
He said Aquaman is your superhero.
I mean,
duh. I mean, what is the thing? If you were going to go into Seattle and go see something other than the Needle, what is the thing that you go see? You watch them go throw fish.
Yeah, I was going to say it's going to be people at Pike Place Market for sure.
Right. You watch them throw fish.
Yeah.
Lots of fish. You never see them throwing. They're always throwing the fish. How come they don't? I would love to see them throw like an octopus.
You got to go to the Detroit Red Wings games for that because they throw a squid on the ice before every hockey game.
I remember that. Well,
yeah.
And then you go down to Florida and then they're throwing rats. So.
I think it would be hard to catch an octopus. I think it's probably why they don't do that.
Have one stick to the person's face as they're trying to get it off.
Now that I would watch.
That's
all
funny.
the tentacles come out and just grab the person's head, and then you see the guys just trying to rip it off.
Yeah, Scott, this right here, they really did make it a regional sport. When they combined the two, they got rid of the East Coast teams mostly. They've really made this kind of
they weren't getting contracts. So, ultimately, they could have. The truth of the matter is that they probably went after the link and didn't get the link. And because they didn't get the link, they didn't really try anywhere else. I would have maybe tried Villanova Stadium, where you can kind of get it up there and play at that stadium, or maybe one of these high school stadiums that they could have did something. I mean, there was ways around this and they didn't do it, so.
I mean, but they also got rid of their Florida team.
Yeah.
They get rid of Seattle, who did have contracts. And was a playoff team. So, I mean, they deliberately made it very regional, and I'm sure that was to save money on travel, honestly. That was probably just a logistical choice more than anything. But it made it so that a lot of the country doesn't watch because you don't advertise for it. You make it hard to find, and we don't have a team anywhere near us. Hey, you're not really going to watch.
What type of semi-pro football do you have up in your area, Bo?
I mean, there's quite a bit. We have a few different leagues. Obviously, we got the arena ball stuff too. So I mean, there's plenty of other football that's easier to consume because it's local. So yeah, I mean, you can do any of those.
I mean, and now you have rugby. So
Yeah,
the rugby.
yeah. Well, I mean, we've had rugby for a while, so we ended up with that back in I think 18 was the first year. So it's been a little bit now, but and they've been a good team. They won the championship the first 2 years. They were in the championship game last year. So I mean, it's a good team. So there's plenty of other things to watch, especially if you're not marketing the stuff very well.
Yeah.
Where's the other team from that you play in rugby? Where are the other teams from? I've never even heard of the professional rugby league.
Oh, they're all over. They're all over. You know, there's teams in a lot of the major cities. I guess it would be the best way to say that. So yeah, no, they're all over the place.
Okay.
Yeah, rugby is huge. Even in Savannah, Georgia, rugby is huge. Matter of fact, not too far, just outside of Grayson Stadium, you always see a lot of, I don't know if they're professional or not, but they're definitely highly organized rugby teams. They got the referees, they got the fans and the stands and all that. I mean, there's a lot of rugby out in Savannah. A lot of rugby.
And it's rugby, not like Australian rules or anything else. Like
yeah, it's not Australian football. It's actual rugby, yeah.
Nice.
Okay. Every once in a while, they have the sevens up
Sevens
here.
are fun to watch.
They usually have the college sevens, and they usually do it at Subaru Park. So 7-on-7 for 7 minutes per half, I think is what it is. So you have quick games, which is kind of cool because they go fast. And
yes, we know you have soccer. But yeah, so like for Major League Rugby, you got Utah, you got New England, Chicago, San Diego, Houston, Seattle, Miami, LA. So I mean, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure where Old Glory is. Where is
Old Glory is Washington, D.C.
Oh, it's DC. That makes sense. New Orleans. So yeah, I mean they're all over.
No Philadelphia team though.
No. Nope, no Philly team. At least not yet.
Yeah.
You never know.
Nope, you never do. I'm waiting for them to come. They'll probably use ridiculous colors like I don't know, purple and yellow.
Didn't you?
Those are ridiculous colors to me.
Didn't you used to have Didn't you used to have the Philadelphia Barrage for lacrosse?
They still are there, and they have purple uniforms, but I haven't dealt with them yet because they haven't really played in Philly.
Are they outside yet, or is everything inside now for lacrosse? Because I know they used to have Major League Lacrosse, which was like the big lacrosse league.
That's
in the
lacrosse.
country.
The Major League Lacrosse is well, no, it's NL, like National
PLL now,
Lacrosse.
isn't it? Like professional.
Yeah,
lacrosse
that's
league,
that's indoor lacrosse.
Because I think they got rid of the
Wait.
old Major League Lacrosse, which was outside. They only had 10 teams. They had the one team from Canada, and then everybody else was here. But now I think everything just went indoor.
Well, no, because I know that they had the PLL,
Mm-hmm.
And that was exterior, and they had tournaments. So they would go to a stadium, and all the teams would go to the stadium, and they'd play a tournament in that stadium for 2 days, and then they'd play a tournament in another stadium for 2 days, 2 weeks later, and then another tournament. Like that's how they were doing it, which I guess is okay if you're trying to grow the sport, but I don't think that they've gotten anything more involved than that.
Yeah.
And like I said, professional cornhole was a thing here for a minute, and then they stopped that. We do have professional Ultimate Frisbee.
Yeah.
Ultimate Frisbee is kind of cool, and I do go to a couple of games a year, paying up for them.
Okay. All right.
So they at least they use me in their commercials.
Oh, funny. Right on.
What other sports are not getting enough notoriety?
I mean, one that we've mentioned 100 times for the same problems, the WNBA, right?
Yeah.
They had their opening weekend of preseason. Did y'all hear about it? Of course not.
Well, you know what? I did watch Indiana versus Brazil. And I tell you, I was riveted to the fact that, Indiana, I think, scored 100 points while eating cookies.
Yeah.
Like they'd be dribbling with a cookie in their mouth
Yeah.
and scoring points. I mean, it was really bad.
That is awesome.
Chicago Sky played Brazil in their first preseason game too at LSU because of Angel Reese and Haley Van Lith. So they had it at the LSU stadium, and they just completely dismantled Brazil. Like, it was to the point where it's like, how are you an international team just getting dismantled like this by a WNBA team?
Wow. Okay.
I mean,
Rob Gronkowski is hosting a pickleball event in Boston this summer.
Yes, he is.
so isn't him and Brady like co-owners of a pickleball league, though?
Probably would make sense.
I mean, so it would make sense that he'd be hosting something.
So Rob Gronkowski, as everybody thinks of him as, the village idiot, but he's not.
No, he's not.
He's not a village idiot. He's actually a very intelligent guy.
He just plays into it, which is smart marketing, really.
Well, at the time, but you notice that he's not been in the public eye as of late.
Yeah.
That's done on purpose. I mean, it was funny when I was at the Super Bowl and got to do a little thing with him, my little video, and saying, hey, here's Rob Gronkowski behind us. He chose the Chiefs, but he ain't chosen one Super Bowl winner right yet. So it was like I did that type of thing.
Yeah.
After I did that video, I'm like, I said, Rob, can I get a pass to go to your party? And he's like, I'm not having one. And I'm like, what? A Super Bowl is not a Super Bowl without a Gronk party. And he's like, yeah, no, not doing the party.
Crazy.
And that's when you started to really and then I started to watch a couple of other things that he's done where the interviews he's been doing are very intelligent interviews. Like even when he talks about like his past and stuff like that, they have been non-Gronk like in their format. So he's making a change, actually, in terms of how he's perceived.
I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. And Gino, darts absolutely has a pro league.
180. Oh, I'm sorry. That's over in London.
Yeah,
no, they definitely do, though. They definitely do.
Well, I'm in a darts league. I'm not in a professional league, but there are definitely pros that play in our league. I play baseball, and I am right around 3 points per inning. Like I shoot about a 27 is my average, a little bit less than that. There are guys that absolutely shoot 50s, 54. Which is a big deal. Like 6 points an inning is a big deal.
Yeah, that adds up quick.
Yeah, I'm not that good. Especially with these wooden darts. The wooden darts are not the same. Like you do the metal darts. I used to let those things fly. They were a lot of fun. I love doing the 501 double in, double out.
Yeah.
I saw Gronkowski. Going back real quick. I want to say something. I saw his brother. His brother actually has a company, and his brother was on Shark Tank. And actually, Gronkowski, I think, wound up endorsing it. So I know he does a lot with the family businesses and stuff with his siblings and things of that nature. So I know he's doing a lot of things. But I think you're right. I think he is pulling back, and I think he's getting more into the intellectual side of life and not giving that persona.
He's becoming a businessman. So he's got his fingers in a lot of pies that you wouldn't even really know about. That he's got like 5 or 6 businesses that he operates and that he acts as CEO. So I kind of feel like that there's a part of him that it was just like, okay, it's time for me to stop, the goofball attitude, like
Right.
or persona in the public eye, because it's going to start affecting the businesses. So yeah,
Exactly.
he is growing up.
That's exactly it. And yeah, we do have curling here in the Seattle area. If you haven't done it and you're here in the Pacific Northwest, check it out. It is in Linwood. It is a ton of fun. Go do it.
Hold on. Well, it was actually these guys. We have a league close to us. The guys that won the gold medal were like from Pennsylvania.
No, it makes total sense. And when you watched that team, you're like, oh yeah, that's some dudes that normally drink in their basement, and they're like, hey, let's go throw some rocks down the ice. I mean, it's giant, it's giant shuffleboard. If you like shuffleboard, you're gonna like it.
I could be a guy with the broom.
Well, you did it not too long ago. How was that? I mean, was it pretty hard? Was it exciting?
Curling?
Yeah, didn't you do curling not too long ago? I think
I've done it. It's not. I mean, it's hard, but staying up on the ice isn't. You actually get like if you're just going there to try it out, they give you things to slide over your shoes. But there's special shoes for it, so you don't fall down and kill yourself. But
right.
But no, it is actually a ton of fun.
I thought you had just did a promotional thing for curling for somebody else, Pags. For some reason, I was thinking that, but okay.
I did not go.
Okay.
But that's fine.
Yeah. So whirly ball is also fun.
I don't know what that. What is whirly ball?
Yeah, you guys aren't going to know this. So this is basically, it's like track ball. Have you ever played that? Right. It was the yellow ball with the track, right?
Like
Kinda
Zam.
Yeah, it's like lacrosse type of thing, but you do it in bumper cars and you try and hit a net, and it is a ton of fun. It is a ton of fun.
It sounds like it does sound like a lot of fun, actually.
It's not in every city, so there is that. But it is a blast. So if you do have it in your city, try it out. It is so much harder than you think it would be.
Let me ask you guys a question. I know we only got a few minutes left, but obviously Devers, he threw the fit when they asked him to go from third to designated hitter when Bregman came in. Now they want him to go from designated hitter back to playing first base, and he's saying he's not going to do that either. Does Devers, is he in the right of not wanting to switch and go to these different positions? Or because he says it's not as easy to go from designated hitter to first base as people think it is, and that's why I guess he's putting up a fit. But this is the first fit he threw, because he obviously did. He threw a fit when going from third base to designated hitter.
So he just doesn't want to play baseball. He wants to go.
He doesn't want to play baseball in a city that they keep telling him,
Yeah,
hey, we just spent a lot of money to have you become our third baseman, and then we're going to spend a lot of money to bring in a third baseman.
Yeah.
He's basically said the GM has flat out lied to him. So at this point, that relationship is so fractured that I'm not going to be shocked if he's dealt next offseason. Like that.
I actually think that he'll be dealt at the trade deadline.
Yeah, like that relationship was very good last year. Craig Breslow was with the Cubs organization the last 5 or 6 years. He took over as the Red Sox GM last year. Like the relationship between the two of them was really good last year. They talked about like the contract and like what his plans for Devers in the future were. And all of a sudden you bring in Bregman. Devers wasn't necessarily, he was okay with it, but he wasn't okay with being asked to switch positions at the start. And now you're trying to get him to switch positions again after the GM specifically told him, we're not going to move you to a different position this year. Yeah, he's really been felt lied to, and that relationship right now is on very thin ice, if not sinking already.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, because that's exactly the impression I got. Now, if he wanted to come to Houston and take over for Paredes at third base, I wouldn't be upset. I know he's the defensive liability at third to some degree, but we can certainly use the offensive production.
I mean, if you think it's a defensive liability, that's where you put him at first.
You're right. You're right.
You don't have to move around that much.
And I guess we'd have to move Walker. If Walker would take on a different position, we'd have to do some juggling there. I don't know if Walker would want to go from first to playing a different position, but there'd have to be definitely some juggling there.
Devers to Seattle for Castillo.
That is never going to happen.
Yeah, because they would just want some crap for Devers, right? That's exactly. They're like, hold on, give us the biggest bad pile of crap you have, and we'll give you a good player.
Right. There's a 0% chance that's going to happen. Yeah, that is like in a fantasy league when somebody sends you a trade where you're just like, what are you smoking? Like,
the Cubs should trade. The Red Sox can trade him to the Cubs. They'll send the Red Sox a bunch of prospects in return. We need a third baseman. Our third base production is dead last in Major League Baseball. We need third base production.
See, that could be a fit.
Like, I don't care about the defensive issues. Like, our third basemen are hitting a combined 230 with like one.
What do you got though to give to them? Like in the top 100. I mean,
we have 7 prospects in the top 100. We can give them pretty much anyone they want besides the pitcher that we're calling up this weekend.
Tell you what, I'll give you back Paredes. If you give me back Tucker, I'll make that trade all day.
That is not happening.
So this makes sense. Just wishful thinking. All right, how's your fantasy team doing, Jay, before we get out of here?
Man, I'm in third right now. Not bad for a first year doing it. I just realized fantasy baseball is so much more work, picking and dropping, trying to keep your pitchers because not everybody pitches that's a lot of work, but I'm enjoying it. It's definitely a learning experience.
Right on. On that note, we're going to get out of here. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. If you are watching on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your Friday. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take it easy.
Later, guys.